Dear audience, let me welcome you here. This interview is part of the Czech Dead Film Movie Festival, which is annually organized by Czech Centers in cooperation with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic. And Czech Dead Film is in its 10th edition this year, but unfortunately we are online again due to the COVID-19 situation in the world. But we are happy that we can unless introduce you Czech filmmakers through these short question and answers about their movies. And I am today here with Adam Olha, a director, screenwriter, and cameraman of the movie Athanor Alchemical Furnace. Welcome.
Hello.
And I hope that our audience knows who is Yan Schneidermeyer, because I suppose they watched the movie. But in case there is someone who is watching this question and answers without the movie before, Athanor Alchemical Furnace is a movie about Yan Schneidermeyer, who is Czech surrealistic artist. And he is in his 80s right now. He made his last movie in 2018, and because we have checked that film online, we just decided to show you also documentaries and not just feature films. And one of the documentaries is the Athanor Alchemical Furnace, and I've prepared few questions for Adam. So let me start with the basic one, which is whose idea it was to make a movie about Yan Schneidermeyer?
Well, this idea came from, I suppose, from Jaromír Kalista, the producer of Yan Schneidermeyer, because we were doing the last Schneidermeyer's movie together. I was doing the documentary part on shooting. And then Jan Daniel, who is another director of this film, Alchemical Furnace, he was the editor of the last Schneidermeyer movie called Insect. And while developing Insect, there was also going on this idea of making the documentary about, not just about Yan Schneidermeyer, but also about Athanor itself. Athanor is the company which produce films of Yan Schneidermeyer, and the part of it is taken by Jaromír Kalista, and very important person was Eva Schwankmajerova, the wife of Yan Schneidermeyer, who was like collaborating on the movies alongside with the artwork that they were making together. So this was the idea, to make not the portrait of Yan Schneidermeyer, but also like to make it a little bit wider, and to look behind the scenes of the daily life of Yan Schneidermeyer and Jaromír Kalista most of the times. Yeah.
Okay, and was it hard to persuade Yan Schneidermeyer to let you kind of like interfere in his personal life?
Well, like this is the moment that I like to explore, because yes, he's a very shy person, and he doesn't like cameras so much, and it was known about him that he's not gonna be the one enjoying the shooting, but a very important moment was that we were doing this last film together. And it was actually his idea to make a documentary part of the Insect. And this developed some kind of parasite movie inside the movie, which also predicted a little bit the way how the documentary will be made. Because it was Schneidermeyer, like Jan Daniel, who is my co-director, is answering this question with very nice sentence. He's saying like, it's like to hunt for the wild animal. You never know if it's gonna run away or if it's gonna bite you while approaching. So this was all the process, like we were trying to get closer and closer, and finally we did so. And I think that was because we were already working together before a little bit. It's maybe important just to say that Jan Daniel is part of surrealistic group that Yan Schneidermeyer is taking part. So they know each other for longer than 20 years, which also makes a difference. I mean, like there is a certain
There was probably already some kind of confidence between them
Yeah,
and then you, because you already worked before together. And was there someone, for example, from like close friends of Jan Schwankmayer or his family, who just didn't want to be in the movie? Because if I'm right, Jan Schwankmayer and his wife, they have children, but they are not in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Like Yan Schwankmayer has two kids, Veronika and Vasek, and both of them are artists also. And we were also trying to involve them in the movie, but they kind of didn't want to take a part of it. And I can understand that, because Schwankmayer is revealing in this movie very like intimate questions about his wife, for example. And I think that it's not that they would not have something to say, but they didn't want to take part of it because it was probably not necessary for them to interact with such intimate questions, maybe I would say. And also, the primary idea was to make film about Atanor, and as they are like family, of course we were trying to approach them several times, but with no success, because there is apparently one story which I will not say in advance. It's at the end of the movie when Jan Schwankmayer is speaking a little bit more about Eva. And this story we know from the son's point of view as well. And we wanted to ask him about that, because he was telling it several times to Jan Daniel. And he said no. So we were trying one more time, and he said no again, and we didn't try anymore. And we would find not fair to have his daughter there and the son missing. So finally we decided to make a triangle, like Jan Schwankmayer, Eva Schwankmayerova, and Jaromír Kalista, which is like a system of alchemy. You have also always like triangles and 3 points to be together. So I think it would be too much people in the movie, actually.
Yeah, and probably it was important to have Eva, Jan Schwankmayer's wife, in the movie, because she was kind of his muse, wasn't she?
Yeah, and I would say that she still is. That's the most important thing. Yes, of course, they were living together and they were also working together, which is hard to manage. I mean, to live with somebody and work in the same time requires a lot of passion and energy. But they were working like one person. So she was very important to be in the movie, of course, also because, let's say, she's not so famous as Jan Schwankmayer, even though she has a big, she has a great influence on Jan Schwankmayer's work, because as they were working together, they were also working separately, and so it was like never-ending dialogue, and I think it's visible also in the movies and also in the artwork they were doing together behind the silver screen.
And I wanted to ask about the name of the movie, but I think that maybe you already answered it a bit, because Atanor is name of the production company of Jaromír Kalista. And why the alchemical furnace? You already said there is this like alchemy triangle, so it came from this, I suppose.
Well, Atanor and alchemical furnace is the same. It means the same. Like Atanor is a old Renaissance alchemical furnace. That's why they're called like this. So when I was presenting this title to Jan Schwankmayer, he said, "Why? It doesn't have any sense. Like it's either Atanor or alchemical furnace, but it doesn't need to be all together." But for the festival, we decided to make this title, and then it never changed. But in Czech Republic, in Czech Republic, the film is called Atanor, which is the same as an alchemical furnace. So it comes from very old alchemical vocabulary, I would say.
Okay, as you can see, maybe it's needed to have both because there are people who just don't know that it means the same thing.
That's what I
Like
thought.
me.
Like that's why I said okay. Like, but nobody knows that ethanol is alchemical furnace, and depends on the nation, of course, because like some of the nations has more understanding for alchemy, let's say, or with the
Okay, could be.
for some like furnace matters, but I hope the title is understandable for American audience. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And my next question is, the movie is almost 2 hours long, which is quite long for a documentary movie, but I'm sure that it was still hard to decide what to use and what not to use in the movie. How many hours of the footage you had before you start like cutting and post-production?
Well, this is a hard question, and I don't want I maybe don't want to answer it fully because of course the material there were like maybe 100 hours of material for sure, because we were shooting this film for 3 years, and in before we were still shooting the process of making Insect, which was at the beginning like part of the movie. Like we said, okay, look, let's try to get out of to kick out with the material that we did during Insect, which was probably like everyday shooting with a lot of material going. There was no other chance because Jan Schwankmeyer wanted some. He said coincidental like footage, which you never know what can happen. So we were shooting a lot. So during the Insect, we were using quite a lot of material, and then after certain years that we were shooting, we collected a lot of material, of course, because Jan Schwankmeyer is not the person who you can direct. You cannot tell him like, go please from one part of the room to another. You're just following what was going on. So this was our intention, to make the portrait or the film which contains of the alive situations, which will not be just be talking heads and remembering and nostalgic comments. So we were trying to make a situation documentary which always consume a lot of material. And as we were shooting on video, we were also shooting on 8mm camera beside, which you will see in the movie, and I hope you will like it, that it also combines these two formats continuously. And plus we were using also 35mm film, the color one and black and white. So finally we got moreover 100 hours of material for sure.
Oh, it has to be hard to choose what to use and what not to use. And did Jan Schwankmeyer want to, like, let's say, prove everything what will be in the movie, or like was he talking to you what you should use, should not use, and how to put it together, or it was just your work then in the end?
Well, this was the most surprising moment for me, because at the beginning they said with Jaromir Kalista, you can do whatever you want. We will not talk to you. We will not like ask you to show us nothing. We just want to have a film, which is maybe the first time I experienced this after school, and I'm very glad that this was happening, and I thank them a lot through this channel to thank them, because this is not very usual way how producer is and direct and famous like director like behaving. So of course we were very nervous. After 3 years of shooting and editing, we presented the movie in the small cinema, and they saw it for the first time after 3 years, and they said okay, and it was really a surprise for me, because I never experienced that before, and I would like to experience it one more time in my life at last. So that would be perfect if the films are made like this and people will give you total freedom, because it's not very easy. But we were like speaking to Schwankmeyer during shooting a little bit about what our intention is. just to let him know which direction our mind goes. So this probably happened a little bit, but I need to say that Mr. Kalista as a producer didn't like ask us for no showing before.
And you also used like some scenes from Jan Schwankmayer's movies, which is kind of leading me to the question, which of Jan Schwankmayer movies is your favorite personally?
Well, it's a hard question. I don't think I have one very one favorite, because they are different, and I like short movies very much, of course, because they are so various and they show so much diversity in his work and thinking, which doesn't contain just on like animation. He's using a lot of like fiction as well, for example, or also documentary approach, which is close to me. For example, Kostnice was what's the English title for that? Obituary?
Probably.
Yeah, that's like sound sketch documentary material shooted in Kutná Hora in Kostnice, which is the place where the bones of the monks are collected. And so this sound is making like the whole movie plot, and then over it there is a crazy animation of the bones, which is one of my favorites. And then, for example, of course, like the long movies that he made later on with Mr. Kalista, it's the different story, because they developed the script maybe a little bit before, and they decided to make those films in the situation. It was not easy to work against the state monopoly, which was producing the movies in 80s still. So they were actually the first that were possible to make a co-production movie still in 80s in communistic regime. And Alenka was the first one, and I think Alenka is one of my most favorite movies from Jan Schwankmayer, because it's...
I will just translate it. It's Alice for our
Alice.
English-speaking audience. Yeah, and it's the one I think it could be one of your most favorite, because I think you use a lot of scenes from it in the documentary too.
Yeah, but we were using it. We were using this film, of course, because it's full of Schwankmayer childhood as well. You know, a lot of things that he's speaking about, or so some traumas, let's say, are connected with the experiences that he's revealing in Alice a lot. He's speaking about it in documentary. So we decided at the beginning that the Alenka will be the one which will follow up the film mostly. Yes.
So, like, I think that you already answered it before when I asked that if Jan Schwankmayer wanted to like talk to you while making the movie. But my question is just like, did he like it? Or does he like it still? Does he like the movie?
He said after the shooting, he said that there is too much bubbles, because there was a dream of Jaromir Kalista when they are waiting for the screening in Tate Modern in London. They were sitting in the bench in front, and Kalista is like having a little sleep. And there is the black and white material with a lot of bubbles which are flowing through the air, because there are guys who are like pushing the big bubbles. And Schwankmayer said that there is maybe too much bubbles, and this was his only comment about the whole movie, like 2 hours long. So I said, okay, that's it. Okay, we remove some bubbles and we are done. So we removed some bubbles. But we were telling him, but Mr. Schwankmayer, this is like Mr. Kalista's dream, so the bubbles doesn't matter. He said, yeah, but there are too many. So that was really the only comment. And then he said, yeah, I was expecting it worst. So it was like also compliment, I would say. So to like or not, I don't think Jan Schwankmayer is the person who really like things, but he's liking things more than people. So I would say that film, maybe he would like it. He still
Yeah,
like
I think that he's mentioning this in the movie, that he likes things more than people,
yeah.
which seems true. Like after watching the movie and following kind of his life, I think you can say that's true. And probably my last question, which is usually a bit different than about the movie, is if you are working on something new, or what are you working on now?
Yeah, of course. Like there is still work to do. So through these Corona times, I'm a little bit more home. Of course, I'm taking care of kids who are not here just for the moment. It's actually the first day after a long time that they went to see the grandma, and so I'm alone home. It's incredible. And I'm working on my other documentaries. Like there is always like I'm working on personal stories. So the film that I'm doing now or developing now, it's coming from my own family, and it's about the west and east of Europe. Because as I have an Italian wife, we have an international relationship. So this took me to the decision to make a film about the differences that we are going through, like that there is still some east and west, and we have many things in common, but also very much things that divided us through the ages. So this is like the film essay that I would like to do. It's not gonna be just personal thing. I hope it's gonna be going a little bit further, and that's my main project, which will take some years to finish, of course. And then I have smaller documentaries to do, mostly portraits, I would say. Yeah. And
So,
then I'm doing cinematography for the other directors. So this is what I enjoy a lot because.
yeah, but it seems that we have something to look forward to watch.
Well, I hope I will finish it because it takes time. It's
Yeah,
not really easy. Yeah.
but this is how it works with the movies. It takes time and we have to be patient.
Yeah.
So I would like to thank you for the interview, and I would like to also thank to our audience for watching us, and I would like to invite you to watch other movies we have in the Check That Film for this year, and enjoy it. And thank you, Adam, again.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a big pleasure, and I hope that the American audience will like our movie. And I will be very glad for any reaction as far as I'm sitting home. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.